Because everyone's got, different hips, different femur lengths, stuff like that. So a lot of it plays a role, and we're just picking on squats for an easy target.
Hey everyone, it's Michael and Dr. Nick from Kalkstein Chiropractic, and today we are talking about exercise as it pertains to chiropractic care. So we're just going to jump right in to some questions. Dr. Nick, is there a type of exercise you recommend for spinal health and chiropractic care?
I'm not particular in a style of exercise because all exercise is, for the most part, good exercise if done appropriately and in the correct way. So as long as you're moving your body, there really is no perfect regimen in terms of that correlates with spinal health. So as long as, the big thing is just to move the body. If you're out and you're active, you're physically challenging your body, you're gonna reap the benefits.
Sure, no, that makes a lot of sense. I guess to piggyback off of that, is there sort of ways to tailor the exercise selection when it comes to certain pathologies you see sort of daily with different injuries and such?
Sure. So a lot of what we see at the office is, your classic neck or low back pain. So a lot of stuff for the low back we'll see is disc pathology related stuff. So that's the guys you see in the gym who have either reported doing some sort of deadlift or squat or some hinging motion where they felt something was wrong. So it's okay to shy away from that a little bit at first, but ultimately, if that's the movement that caused the problem, that is the movement we want to address. So we want to look at your form, we're going to make sure you're doing it appropriate, and that way you're not just completely eliminating a very valuable exercise out of your regimen. You want to make sure you're doing it safe and a healthy way. So
absolutely. So keep doing squats, just learn how to do them more appropriately,
Exactly.
Better form. Makes sense. Yeah, so how about prevention? What do you think about exercise? Are there certain things that people should be doing as a preventative measure when it comes to exercise?
So kind of tailoring or looping back to similar answer of the last question, as long as you're doing it right, you're doing it the way it's supposed to be doing, you ultimately are preventing or at least reducing your risk of injury to that area in the long run. So if you're constantly addressing your squat form, you're changing it, you're making sure it's appropriate for your skeletal anatomy, because everyone's got different hips, different femur lengths, stuff like that. So a lot of it plays a role, and we're just picking on squats for an easy target. But there's a lot of skeletal anatomy that plays a role in how a squat looks like. So as long as you're doing one that's functionally appropriate for your frame, you're ultimately preventing the risk of injury in the future.
Understood. And we're going off the cuff a little bit, but inspired. Are there any exercises that you just simply would not have anyone do across the board? Or is there anything that falls into that category?
Not in particular, no. Like I said, there's the good and the bad with all exercise, yeah. Sure, and there's benefits and risk inherently with all exercise. But I wouldn't say there's anything that sticks out right now that is just like, hey, don't do it.
Yeah, cool. How about chronic pain people? So the non-injured, those who just have back pain the last 10 years, are there any specific approaches you would take with those patients?
Sure. So when it comes to the chronic aspect of pain, it typically turns a lot of people off from physical activity because movement is causing them pain. Rightfully so. It's very hard to be motivated or dedicated to challenge your body more so that's causing some discomfort when you're already in constant discomfort. So the biggest step in addressing chronic pain is actually moving your body. So you fall into this cycle of chronic pain. Your body naturally wants to not really decondition itself, really. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a time frame to where you're initiating appropriate exercise to address that chronic pain before you really start to notice the benefit of it. So it kind of feels like a backwards approach, but ultimately long-term pain relief, that is the most potent approach in addressing chronic sort of neck, low back, knee, whatever you name it.
Yeah, it seems like there's almost a sort of, say mental, but just a self-preservation sort of approach with regard to mindset. And,
Yeah,
I got injured doing exercise, so I don't want to go back to doing exercise.
Huge mental hurdle. You see it all the time in individuals. A lot of athletes too. They're so scared and injuring themselves because this is either what they do collegiately or what they're doing for a living. They develop this fear avoidance towards that one movement or that one exercise that caused them all this pain. But looping back to the first question again, if that is what caused it and kind of led them down this road of chronic pain, that ultimately is going to be what we want to look at. And let's get them doing that, but in a safe environment where risk of injury is drastically reduced.
Sure. Pull out the proverbial scalpel and take a look at people's movement patterns. All right. I'm sure I know the answer on this one, but can exercise help with people's posture?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Posture is a huge part of what we see in the office. We think of posture, we think of the upper body portion where the rounded shoulders, the head's forward, or the classic, they call it tech neck, where you're looking down and you're developing these aches and pains.
I've never heard that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, tech neck.
Tech neck.
Yeah.
All right.
So ultimately, when we spend prolonged amount of time, and when I say prolonged, I mean like this is a repetitive sort of position we've utilized for days, months, almost years. If you got a desk job you've been at for 10 years, I'm sure you're in that position 8 hours a day for 10 years.
Accumulated some
you develop this sort of posture that ultimately is going to be stretching and weakening the muscles. So you prolong stretch a muscle, it turns weak. Then you demand it to work, and keeping posture, it gets angry with you. So a lot of the times we see these people with this burning sensation or achiness between the shoulder blades or their neck whenever they're like, I stood in line to get coffee for 20 minutes and my shoulders really started to light up on fire. It's because those muscles are deconditioned, they're weak, but you're still demanding them to support posture. So ultimately what we want to do is to strengthen those muscles, that way they can keep up with the load that you demand on it throughout a daily sort of active life. Yeah, so definitely strength and posture definitely can help maintain a healthier spine.
Yeah, and speaking to some of those sort of adaptations that you mentioned, is it challenging sometimes if you see someone with a really bad posture that their skeleton is essentially adapted to?
Sure.
Is it a really sort of difficult process to reverse, if you will, or come out of that, or is it just a matter of getting into some movement? And
as long as there's really no structural anatomy changes, there's a road ahead of you in order to address it. But if you're looking at scoliosis, you're looking at a hyperkyphosis that's anatomically changed, or you're looking at ankylosing spondylitis, stuff like that, unfortunately isn't irreversible. So once you start to develop that sort of posture, it's more of maintenance and trying to limit the discomfort from it.
What do we do in the way of sort of interaction or collaboration with personal trainers? Obviously we have the exercise staff here at Kalkstein.
Okay.
Describe that sort of interaction and collaboration.
So extremely synergistic. We lean hard into the exercise and rehab and physical aspect of our practice here. We really want, ultimate goal, perfect world, we'd love to see all of our patients working out, because working out is key in living a long, healthy life. It's allowing you in the older ages of life to still do what you want to do. Gives you that longevity aspect of it, and there's a very drastic correlation of certain exercises and cardiorespiratory health. If you really focus on these areas, there's a huge drop in percentage of all-cause mortality. So exercise isn't just giving you a physique or just building muscle. It's actively allowing you to live better and longer. So the way we utilize it here right now is to get those chronic pain patients, those patients with poor posture, a little taste of what else is out there and what they're capable of or what they could be. So we really kind of lean into the exercise hard here.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Well, that's all we got for questions. Thanks, Dr. Nick, for talking about exercise with us today.
Absolutely.
If you guys have anything else, any questions, leave them in the comments below. Hit the like button. Appreciate you.
We'll catch you in the next one.